Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of voice of radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at some new Pokemon Go cards, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I am a little bit surprised here. I'm pretty gosh darn surprised, because what we have is Alolan Raticate. And at this stage, we're not expecting many Alolan cards to be coming out. Why would we? We've seen the release of Sword and Shield 10 in both English and in Japanese. We have seen no Alolan Pokemon in the Sword and Shield series at all. The last ones we saw were in the last Sun and Moon set, that being Cosmic Eclipse, and we actually saw a bunch in Cosmic Eclipse. For me personally, the Alolan Ninetales with Rubbish Blizzard was the highlight. I thought that was awesome. But we've not seen a single Alolan Pokemon in the entirety of the Sword and Shield era, nor would we particularly expect to, because of course they were Gen 7 things, and in Gen 8 we've got Galarian Pokemon. So that's fine. But of course this is the Pokemon Go set, and Pokemon Go has been doing some fun stuff with Alolan Pokemon, and this is one of the things I was really hoping to see from the Pokemon Go set, bringing us stuff that we just weren't going to see in Sword and Shield sets, like apparently Alolan Pokemon, and this is really rather awesome indeed. But was it worth the wait? We've also got a new Steelix we'll have a look at as well. Now, in terms of the Alolan Rattata, I think I might have to come out here and say, just kind of off the bat, no, I'm not entirely sure it was worth the wait. Alolan Rattata is, well, it's not particularly good. We've got 40 HP, which is horrendously low, and for 2 colourless energy, 50 damage, flip a coin if Tails' attack does nothing. I translated that one myself, so I will double check before I post this video. So, no, it's not particularly good. And don't get me wrong, right? It's alright, I suppose. 50 damage could be relevant, but no, come on. It's fine as an absolute emergency attack, but it's not much more than that. But that's not what we really care about. And I should mention the lovely Primal Lugia has told us that apparently I'm right about that translation on Alolan Rattata, so yay! But Alolan Raticate, we are way, way more interested. Now, 120 HP it's fine for a stage 1, honestly, it's alright. And we've got an attack for a single Darkness Energy that lets you search your deck for any card and put it into your hand. These translations from the lovely Antoine Boulet. And that's fine. That's alright. Yeah. But what we're and don't get me wrong, right? I'd say this flippantly. It's a stage 1. That's the only reason I don't really like it. On a basic Pokemon, searching for any card is good. The problem is, by the time you can actually use this, then, basically by the time you've done this and got to use that card, your opponent's had 2 turns. And that's just, it's a little bit awkward. I'm not loving it. It's on a stage 1. Honestly, but fine in an emergency. But then we've got the attack Super Fang. For 3 colourless energy, put damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon until its remaining HP is 10. And firstly, that means that if you can ping off that extra 10 damage, you can get a one-hit KO, or an easy KO at least, on literally anything. And also, several people at this stage have looked at this card and gone, hang on a second, that looks mighty familiar, and it should. It's the Raticate from Boundaries Crossed. And I mean, it is literally the Raticate from Boundaries Crossed. 3 colourless energy, put damage counters on the defending Pokemon till its remaining HP is 10. Although now we don't say the defending Pokemon, we say your opponent's active, but come on. Except we've actually got a better first attack. And we've got a type, we're not colourless with darkness, which means we could potentially be hitting for weakness. It's not relevant because, never actually hitting for weakness because neither of these attacks do anything, but, it's there. And we can use Dark Patch, which is a really big deal. We'll get to that in a moment, but the ability to use Dark Patch here is a really big deal. Oh, yeah, and we got double the HP. You're still on 120. Let's not pretend this is some kind of amazing thing here, but it's still double the HP. It's still gonna take a bit more for your opponent to KO you, and for what it's worth, weakness to grass is generally better than weakness to fighting. So all in all, I actually really like this. This is kind of cool. The question becomes twofold. Firstly, how do you get the third energy on there? Secondly, how do you get the 10 damage? Remember, Briefly pre-rotation, we're going to have Twin Energy, and then when we hit the rotation, we're going to be using Double Turbo. Remember that means you do 20 less damage, but an attack like this, where we're not doing any damage, there is no downside to using Double Turbo Energy, you go nuts. We do need to get that third energy, Dark Patch. That's the absolute best way to do this here, because you're a Darkness Pokemon, so you Dark Patch a Darkness Energy, attach a Double Turbo, and you're off. There's other ways you can do it, of course. If you ever play a Cherim deck, this will be great in a Cherim deck, because that can attach Grass Energy to any Pokemon without a rule box. This uses Colorless Energy and doesn't have a rule box. There's plenty other out there that just don't quite work. Melanie won't work because you're not a Pokemon V. Frostmoth won't work because you're not a Water Pokemon, etc. But there are some other ones out there like Cherim that will work quite nicely. So now we've got the energy, the question is the extra damage. And again, this is going to rotate out not long after we get this, but for a brief period we're going to have the Garbodor from Rebel Clash. And I actually really like the Garbodor from Rebel Clash, because that's got an ability that automatically poisons your opponent's active Pokemon. Yes. Because now you poison them, take them down to 10 HP remaining, they get KO'd. With the old Raticate, the one which we still might use in Expanded, we would generally use Hypnotoxic Laser, the item card that poisons them, so that they would then take that 10 damage during Pokemon Checkup, as it is nowadays, and then get KO'd. And that's what we're looking at here. And I kind of love it, honestly. That will work quite nicely. You're talking 2 stage 1s, Dark Patch and a Double Turbo Energy to KO literally anything? Yes. That sounds absolutely fine by me. If you're not using Garbodor, things get a little bit more awkward. You can use stuff like Inteleon, which will be surviving the rotation, or potentially Galarian Zigzagoon that won't be. But you know what? The problem with that is you've got to wait till next turn, and if you wait till next turn, your opponent can heal, etc. If you are going to wait till next turn, might I suggest a couple of Pokemon that I am kind of in love with, like Greedent. Remember, Greedent VMAX, 2 energy, 30 damage. If your opponent's basic Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, take 2 more prize cards. And it's really worth pointing out, even if you use Double Turbo Energy, and you're only doing 10 damage, that will still be enough here with Greedent VMAX. I adore this with Greedent VMAX. But the problem with trying to use this with something like Greedent is you're giving your opponent a turn. You're giving him a turn to heal up, or you're giving him a turn to retreat to the bench and force you to have some kind of gusting card. Also, do remember this is, of course, Greedent only on basic Pokemon, but it's 2 extra prizes. It's kind of ridiculous. Or we could potentially go Stoutland V here. That is, of course, a basic Pokemon rather than an evolved Pokemon. And here it is again only against basic Pokemon, but you take 1 extra prize card and it's free energy. Even though Greedent needs an evolution, I like it quite a lot more than Stoutland, because Stoutland you need to get the 3rd energy, and you're taking 1 extra prize card rather than 2, and 1 evolution is really not the end of the world, so generally speaking, I think you'll probably be okay with Greedent. And they're essentially your options. You can find a way to poison, like with Garbodor, or you can take advantage of something like Greedent to try and take extra prizes. That's really what you want to do here. That's where we're going. You need to either have the KO coming in before your opponent has a turn, or you're taking advantage of being able to take extra prizes, so you're willing to take the risk that your opponent can get around it. I love this. I'm giving it 4 Wassies. People have been trying to use the other Raticate for a long time. Maybe this one will work, maybe this one won't. But anytime you see an ability or a trainer card that can put a special condition like Poison or Burn on, this is going to get so much better. And I've not left a huge amount of time for Steelix, and there is a pretty good reason. It's not great. Sorry. Now, if we look at the Onyx, we've got amazing artwork by the lovely Mitsuhiro Rita, 3 colorless energy, 50 damage, and it stops the defending Pokemon retreating. 50 damage for free energy, it's not enough damage, and it's too much energy. It's a good weakness you're hitting, you're a fighting Pokemon, but it's not good enough, let's move on. For 2 fighting, 2 colorless energy, 50 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And you do have a fairly hefty 120 HP for a basic, which is nice, but you still only got 120 HP. It's not like that's a huge amount of HP. And it's really expensive as an attack. But you know what would be really good? If you could have this same attack on a Pokemon with way more HP. How about Steelix? And at this stage, do remember what we're thinking of doing is we're using Memory Capsule with Steelix so that we can be copying that attack. Problem is, Memory Capsule was in Vivid Voltage, which means it's Regulation Mark D, which means that it is very unlikely, not guaranteed at this stage, of course, we've not had the announcement, but it's very unlikely to survive when we hit the rotation, assuming we have a rotation, which is not confirmed, but it is very likely. And you see where I'm going with this? It's like, yeah, on the one hand, brilliant, we've got this, and on the other hand, by the time we actually get round to using it, we're probably not going to have it for long, and that's the combo here, because Steelix is a single prize Pokemon with 180 HP, which is ridiculous. That would be brilliant, but again, you're not going to have this really for long enough to make it worthwhile, and I do think that's a pretty gigantic problem. So does Steelix have any of its own attacks we can get really excited about? Not really. Free energy, 70 damage plus paralysis on a coin flip. Free energy on a stage 1, I want to be doing more than 70 damage. And fine, you get paralysis on a coin flip, but if you flip tails and don't get the paralysis, we're talking free energy, 70 damage on an evolved Pokemon. That's not enough, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen. That's not enough. Or we can go 1 metal, 3 colorless, 170. This Pokemon can't attack next turn. But again, we're talking 4 energy on a stage 1 Pokemon. And like, you're getting Luminion? And I'm not dissing that. Luminion's a Pokemon which is seeing a bunch of playing. We'll see a bunch more moving forward. Yay, etc. But when you're basically only getting Luminion, no. I don't like this at all. Basically, it's all way too expensive. The best gimmick we've got is using Steelix with Memory Capsule to copy Onix. But, you know, 180 HP can still be one-hit KO'd by a bunch of stuff in the format. And we're going to be losing Memory Capsule anyway. And then we kind of end up with brilliant. That's not good enough. I'm giving this between 2 and 3 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. This is one of those I want to like. I like Steelix as a Pokemon generally. But I think it's fair to say this one is not setting the metagame on fire. Sorry about that. But I want to know if you agree with me. I want to know what you think. I want to know how much you enjoy seeing Alolan Pokemon back. And I want to know if you think Raticate can finally be legit. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.